Do what must be done. Do not hesitate. Show no mercy.
Hello there, this is Darth Melvin, leader of the Knights of Melvin. Andor was garbage. It was
boring.
And I'm going to rip it apart. Now, unlike JJ Plagiarisms, who got obliterated by Sheev Talks because he was chasing subscribers and didn't do his homework, I took the time to rewatch the entire show. The first season was 3 years ago, and as horrible as the rewatch was, I feel
it was super necessary.
And it has allowed me to take my analysis to another level. This show needs to be trashed. It is overrated garbage. Now, some might be saying, Darth Melvin, I hate you. You're mean and a toxic gatekeeper. You're also a sexist, racist bigot. That's completely fine if you want to throw all your names at me. You don't have to like me. But I am going to make some stellar points about the show, making you question your enjoyment of the show, your support of Disney Star Wars, and maybe your very existence. The video is long and it goes in hard. I imagine that's right up a lot of the alleys for the Disney shills.
Oh my god, be careful with that thing.
Andor is widely praised as the best Disney Star Wars show. Some say it's on par with the George Lucas original trilogy. Some say it's even better.
What a piece of junk.
They think Andor is peak Star Wars, bro. Disney Star Wars is trash. Suggesting Andor is the best out of the
steaming pile of cow dung.
You may have an argument. Suggesting Andor is on par with the original trilogy is delusional. They wonder why we throw around the term fake fan. A lot of people have been dick riding Tony Gilroy lately.
You've been notorious, I think, online during season 1 at least, of not being the biggest fan of Star Wars. And I think, at least my perception in season 2 is that maybe has shifted a little bit.
Listen, all I was saying was I hadn't really been participating, but I didn't have the energy to invest any more because it took so much design, imaginative energy just to do all this. It couldn't ever get outside of my 5-year block. So those 5 years is like, I know everything. I'm a fan of those 5 years. It's what's after and what's before that either confuses me or it's not worth my while to get involved in it because it takes me away from what I need to concentrate on.
He's on record as someone that is not a Star Wars fan. Who knows how much of it he's actually watched? Real Star Wars, Disney Star Wars?
Repeating things that Star Wars has always been about. Mon Mothma's speech about the death of truth, like you immediately I started thinking about the Clone Wars.
What's the Clone Wars?
And they had these like blue text bubbles that would tell you what the episode was about. And so many of them are about truth and trust. And
oh, really?
Yeah. Like,
that's not on my radar, but yeah, okay, wow.
It was incredible. Like,
wow.
Everything that Mon Mothma says, I'm like, this is what George Lucas has always said. And
fantastic.
It felt so good to hear that. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic, you little shit. George Lucas is old news. I'm the Masterclass writer here. When it comes to Disney Star Wars, he refused to do any homework. He had a vision for a show about a rebellion trying to take down an empire.
I was like, wow, no one is ever going to do a show about revolution and fascism and colonialism and imperialism and sacrifice.
He didn't care to connect the show to any previous content. He even went as far to tell the director of the Gorman Massacre episodes to not watch Star Wars. No, don't watch anything. This is something else. Don't watch anything because it will just give you the wrong idea. The wrong idea. This is something different? Clearly, if you watch the show and understand how much of a non-fan Tony Gilroy is of Star Wars, you know he wasn't creating fake Star Wars. He was creating fake Star Wars. The show doesn't care if it aligns with Disney canon. It is in its own universe. There are Disney shills right now begging Disney to bring Gilroy back for future projects. Tony Gilroy is done. He did Rogue One and 2 seasons of Andor. And if he were to come back, he'd have nothing else to offer except his version of fake Star Wars.
Ironic.
Ironic that the Disney shills want more content that doesn't care to fit into Disney canon. These people like it more than the usual crap, but when you really break down Andor and analyze it, the show is extremely overrated and pointless. This is including Rogue One. In 2016, Rogue One was released. This was a year after the shit-ass Force Awakens. People were still hyped. As bad as The Force Awakens was, people didn't understand that there was no direction with Disney Star Wars. They didn't understand that they were more focused on identity politics than honoring George Lucas. They didn't understand the culture of this company that took over Lucasfilm and what the new Lucasfilm would become. People were pumped for Rogue One, but the movie never needed to be made. Disney decanonized the expanded universe after they took over, and in the expanded universe, we already had a story about stealing the Death Star plans. Dark Forces. We already had a better character, Kyle Katarn.
Hello there, Kyle Katarn here.
No Jyn Erso or Cassian Andor, Disney characters. And this story gave Disney the option to put Kyle Katarn in their current Mandoverse. He could pop up in Dave Filoni's Star Wars Avengers movie. Obviously, whatever Disney does is going to be trash. Regardless, the Kyle Katarn Dark Forces story is a superior story to Andor and Rogue One. And this should have been adapted rather than replaced by a Disney story. I understand Disney wants to do their own thing. Pick and choose what they want to adapt from the EU. They got this one wrong. They hired a guy who doesn't even like Star Wars, and he made a pointless movie in Rogue One. Then it was announced Tony Gilroy was getting a show based on Cassian Andor from the movie Rogue One with a huge budget. A few months before Andor was released, the garbage Kenobi show was made. It lacked the budget Andor did, and you have to wonder why Disney decided to shit on that show but go all in on their Disney character. A forgettable character. A character that dies in Rogue One.
What's the point?
And the answer is Disney does not care about George Lucas Star Wars, the real fans of Star Wars. They want to push their garbage. There were a lot of Disney shows that got early access to this show. In season 1, the message was, oh, the show's not boring, it's a slow burn. You gotta give it a chance, everyone. Like, I know you're falling asleep and taking a nap during this show, but it's a slow burn. If you continue watching, there will be a payoff. And the ratings were terrible. And then season 2 was coming along. We knew there was gonna be a lot of time skips, it could be a little faster paced. And the early access shills were all saying the same thing, that it was a masterclass. Tony Gilroy's writing was a masterclass in storytelling. And the truth is, Andor is anything but a masterclass. The scripts were very shallow. They include a lot of J.J. Abrams mystery boxes. Something is introduced, but it is never developed and never was intended to be developed. This forces the audience to fill in the gaps on their own, because the show was incapable of doing so. With all the mystery boxes in this show, you really have to question how much of a masterclass Andor is. There are a ton of mystery boxes in this show, and I'm going to go over them and some of the underdeveloped story arcs. The very first scene in this show is Andor going to a brothel looking for his sister. This event sets the whole story in motion. After Andor kills the mall cops, we never hear about his sister again. Deadline asked Tony Gilroy, what happened to Cassian's sister? The one he was looking for in season 1. There wasn't any closure on that by the end of the series. Gilroy said, no, there wasn't. I did in the beginning because I'm always leaving things for myself to try to pick up on. There are all kinds of things that I do to pick up on later, or things I lay down so writers will pick up on them in the room. This is the exact description of a mystery box. With the sister, when I put it in there, I didn't know how I was going to resolve it. I don't know. Andor's sister, I don't know. He's admitting he created the sister arc for the show, but had no idea what he was doing with it and where it was going.
I didn't know what I was doing when I had Saul say all that stuff, but if you're writing well, particularly on this show, if you're writing well, you're laying a lot of ground rules for things or laying a lot of seeds for things you don't know if you're going to come back and pick them up or not.
Where have we seen this before? J.J. Abrams, The Force Awakens. The character Rey, we don't know who she is, where she's going. The character Finn, we don't know who he is, where he's going. Kylo Ren, they don't know what kind of arc he's going on. You introduce it, and you fill in the holes later.
Particularly on this show, if you're writing well, you're laying a lot of ground rules for things or laying a lot of seeds for things you don't know if you're going to come back and pick them up or not.
And this scene is significant because it jumpstarts the entire story. It's just a random part of Andor's life. We start this show. And then in the first 3 episodes, they even incorporated very long flashbacks of Andor's childhood. This was part of why people were so bored with the first 3 episodes, and the shills were doing damage control. Disney sending out memos to all of them. Tell them it's a slow burn. Don't panic, it's a slow burn. The whole sister arc was completely fraudulent. A mystery box created by Tony Gilroy because he needed somewhere to start. And this makes all the flashbacks in the first 3 episodes pointless. Let's talk about Andor and Bix's relationship. The first scene with Andor and Bix is mad at Andor. What is she mad about? They dated before. Why did they break up? Considering they were the primary couple of this show, and we're supposed to feel something when she leaves them in season 2 to raise their child, their relationship in this whole show could have received some development, especially in the first 3 episodes. And in addition to Bix, Andor's relationship with others and his life on Ferrix is underdeveloped. His whole backstory. He owes all these people money. Money for what? Like, who is this guy? It's really just fill in the gaps writing style. There was so much development with the pointless sister arc, we missed out on a few details about Andor's life on Ferrix, which could have better set up the story. Maybe condensed it down to 1 or 2 episodes instead of 3. But it's a slow burn. It is revealed in episode 4 we go further into Andor's backstory. He's crying to Luthen about it.
You don't know me. I fought in Mimban when I was 16. 2 years of it. Straight out of prison into the mud. I'm one of 50 that survived.
Where's the Masterclass writing with this? He hates the Empire so much. Why? Sounds like this was the flashback we needed. Fresh off the death of his dad, Andor at 16. But no! Gilroy, who's supposed to be the Masterclass writer, wasted 3 episodes on a sister arc that never went anywhere. Let's move on to Mon Mothma and Luthen, the origin of their meetings together, the origin of their friendship. Many of the people that like this show were a big fan of Dopey Luthen. This is supposed to be a show about the beginning of the rebellion. We showed Mon Mothma leaving the Senate, ending her career, but we never saw where it all started. Her first meeting with Luthen. Everyone's always simping for Luthen. Why wasn't there an episode or a flashback of their first interactions? We had a flashback with the sister arc, but with Mon Mothma and Luthen, what caused Mon Mothma to want to be a rebel It's a mystery box. 15 minutes in, you're probably crying. Darth, Melvin, we don't need this much detail about their backstories. Why not? This show isn't shy about flashbacks and wasting time. Andor is literally the least interesting character in the show. And they're also not shy about focusing on significant parts of the episode without him. Gilroy admitted himself that he only cared about making this show because it has to do with a rebellion overthrowing a fascist government. And it's ironic that the show really neglects the formation of the rebellion. It probably has a lot to do with Gilroy, who's not a fake fan, a non-fan of the series. A non-fan that had no interest in doing any homework to make this show deeper and more compelling.
Masterclass? Not so much.
And you can continue to cry like a fake fan, little baby simp. I'm going to continue to dissect and expose Tony Gilroy for the J.J. Abrams mystery box fraud he is. And there's nothing you can do to stop me. The next mystery box we have to talk about is Krieger Who. Luthen allows the ISB to take out Krieger and his group, giving the ISB a false sense of victory. It's a morally questionable act that's just brushed over. And I'm wondering, who is Krieger? You gotta go to the Wikipedia page. They'll tell you all about him, but he doesn't even make a real appearance in the show. Just mentioned. Him and like 30 people died. Supposedly it was supposed to be a big win for the Empire. I feel this could have been developed more instead of brushed over. I mean, a massive space battle where like 30 people die. But no, they mystery boxed it, and they try to make us care about a character that we don't even see on screen, just a hologram and a name drop. This was used to advance the plot, and it's lazy writing. This character got no development. A masterclass of writing would be introducing this character, setting up a relationship with Luthen, setting up the betrayal, and culminating in an electric, emotional slaughter by the Empire, showcasing the power of the Empire and how cold and ruthless Luthen is. This is supposed to be Star Wars. Where's the war? In the stars. No, this is Tony Gilroy Star Wars, not real Star Wars. It's not even fake Star Wars. In a show where we don't need Jedi, don't need lightsabers, don't need pew-pew, we most certainly don't need a space battle.
Masterclass? Not so much.
And that takes us to season 2, where the mystery boxes are a lot more prevalent because there are time skips in this show. The TIE fighter in season 2. Andor is stealing a prototype TIE fighter. Why? What's the purpose of this mission? Who exactly was he meeting in the Jurassic Park jungle planet? What did they do with the TIE fighter afterwards? This again reminds me of the sister arc. They needed somewhere to start season 2, so they began with this mystery box story arc. Screen Rant did their best to shill for the reasoning behind this, but at the end of the day, it's not fully explained in the show. We can only speculate. We can fill in the blanks and make some educated guesses, but this show, Tony Gilroy's writing, forces us to do that constantly. I hardly call that masterclass writing, when everything is full of holes and ambiguous. And there's plenty more. We get to the first time skip in season 2, Andor joins Luthen at the end of season 1. We don't even get an on-screen confirmation. Just have to assume we don't see his first missions under Luthen, adjusting to that life. It's a mystery box. Like, there's a lot to go into there. Like, how is he adjusting to this life? What kind of missions is he going on? We jump to season 2 where he's more seasoned in this role. What has happened since then in regards to the Luthen group and the rebellion? The only missions we know of is the TIE Fighter mystery box and another mission where Andor kills an Imperial soldier because he recognizes him. We are in a crucial part in this rebellion. The whole show is based off this rebellion, and we spent 3 episodes developing a wedding for 2 characters we never see again. This show is Andor, man. What has Andor been up to? Everyone loves Dopey Luthen. I think he's been riding this Aldani heist for too long. What does he actually do? The show really doesn't go that deep into it. There's a few things, but his accomplishments are really lacking. The first time skip in season 2 sets a precedent. Important parts of the story are not told, and for the first 15 minutes of each episode after the time skip, we are trying to figure out what's going on due to the heavy J.J. Abrams mystery box writing style. Cyril and the Gormans. At first they thought they could use Cyril to their advantage, but eventually the Gormans realized that Cyril Karn is a rat and a fraud. They were very angry with him. First of all, everything he quote-unquote did for them was very vague and not on screen in this show. The relationships he built with the Gormans, not developed at all. Enza slaps him. Why? Like, where's this emotion coming from? Caro is so disgusted with him, he even kills Cyril. At what point did they figure out Cereal Boy was a total rat? This is another J.J. Abrams mystery box. We don't know. So watching the show, I'm not buying the anger these Gormans have towards him. We got nothing but scraps of his scenes with the Gormans. Not enough to develop any kind of emotional attachment to these people. This whole part of the story was so underdeveloped, it was just pointless.
I had an accident.
What happened?
I'll tell you about it someday. It's been a long year.
Cinta's accident. This one is small, but I just found it to be humorous. You plug the idea she stopped going on Luthen's missions because of an accident, but what was this accident? Who knows? Do we ever figure out what the accident is? No. It's just not important. This is how Tony Gilroy writes. And you might be saying, Dr. Melvin, you're reaching here! Not every single frickin' detail needs to be explained. It was probably her crashing the car to kill Mon Mothma's banking friend. Was it really? Or was it something else? I'm not interested in fan theories on what her accident is. You're right, not every detail needs to be explained. Sometimes you're meant to wonder. Sometimes things are better off screen or just not necessary and don't really need to be explained. But when you call the guy a masterclass writer and his writing style is full of holes, several mystery boxes within the entire show, 2 seasons, 24 episodes, I'm not going to let it slide. And then my favorite mystery box of the entire show is the creation of Yavin and the blacklisting of Luthen Rail. How did this all happen? It happened during the time skip, brah. Hashtag mystery box. The show is about the creation of the rebellion. And Yavin 4 just magically shows up. It's a huge part of the plot, but it just magically shows up. For a season and a half, Luthen is a big, important character. Now, halfway through season 2, he's obsolete. How did this happen, Tony Gilroy? We have to piece it together. Mon Mothma is upset Luthen killed her banking friend, and that's all we know. And speaking of her banking friend, what is Mon Mothma doing with her family funds? It's not going to Luthen. We have to assume it's helping to fund Yavin. Given all the time spent on that fucking wedding, I don't think the financing and banking should be ambiguous and forgotten. We spent so much time with the banking arc in season 1, and that part of the story is just neglected. How are they funding Yavin? How is Luthen funding his operation now? Because Mon Mothma is no longer on his side, and he doesn't have access to her family funds. The banking and the finance was a huge part in season 1, but season 2, no, we don't even talk about it. The banking guy gets killed and that's it. Andor was a bit pissy at Luthen for going behind his back with Bix, but he got over it. It's mentioned in the show he made a decision to go to Yavin because he thought that's where he was needed most. Where was this scene in the show? Where's the scene where he tells Luthen to his face that he's breaking up with him? Why wasn't this in the show? We had the scene where he's crying about Bix to him. Where was the scene where Mon Mothma decides she's breaking up with Luthen? Where she cries her eyes out about him being a toxic male? We don't get this. How did Luthen feel about the formation of Yavin? When it was happening and he was losing control, not after the fact. Why wasn't there an everything speech with this?
Everything!
It's ironic Luthen has sacrificed everything, yet Tony Gilroy couldn't sacrifice screen time to showcase how Luthen lost everything. We needed the 3-episode wedding arc. The people on Yavin consider Luthen some crazy extremist. How did his reputation, how did they determine that he was a crazy extremist and shouldn't be included in their plans on Yavin? Also, it goes both ways. Why did Luthen not join them? Did he have something against them? Thought they were incompetent? Thought they were fake rebels and didn't really believe in the cause? Controlled opposition? They didn't know how to dress and drag as well as him? There are so many questions with this time skip. All of this is extremely important to the story, and Tony Gilroy mystery boxed the shit out of it. We spent more time on that wedding than the formation of the rebel base on Yavin. This one was also important, the lack of Imperial news after the Gorman Massacre. So the Gorman Massacre happened, but apparently, because we don't see it in the show, the Empire is spreading fake news about what happened. What everyone sees is the news coverage. They don't see what we saw on screen. They see the news coverage, the fake news.
The death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil.
Mon Mothma is referencing the fake news in her speech. This is the death of truth. It is? I think we can assume that the Empire is spreading fake news, but for a show that spent 7 episodes building up to the massacre, and a show that really focuses on mundane details, they didn't even bother to go in depth about the fake news coming from the Empire. This is a huge part of the speech, talking about the Empire spreading fake news, and we don't see an example of this. We just have to assume they are spreading fake news. How hard would it have been to splice in a montage of news clips talking about the Gorman Massacre, pushing a pro-Imperial narrative, blaming the Gormans? It could have carried more weight in regards to Mon Mothma's speech. Instead, we had to mystery box it in and not visually see it. That makes Mon Mothma's speech less impactful.
It's that time of the year, Toffee. Senate investiture. I absolutely adore this holiday. I know you want to talk about the politics of it all.
We got a talk show with transgenders on it. This is one example of television being in the show, but no clips of Imperial news misrepresenting the Gorman Massacre. We just have to assume. We just have to assume that they're doing it.
Masterclass? Not so much.
The discovery of access. Lonnie gets a 2-hour window to hack Deidre's computer and figures out the existence of the Death Star. How did he do this? Mystery box. We never see him doing much at the ISB. This could have been his moment, a computer hacking scene. Deidre figures out Luthen has access. She just shows up in episode 10 of season 2 and confronts him. How did she figure it out? It's comical. It's revealed she did her own hacking and found a story about a guy who was in custody and said he was recruited by an antique dealer. A literal smoking gun that she found buried in the Imperial files. Masterclass writing, Tony Gilroy. Who was this guy? Why didn't Luthen kill him already? He loves to kill people that are a threat. It's just another mystery box in the Masterclass writing that gets Luthen caught. Why couldn't this have been like a Mission Impossible computer scene with Lonnie and then Deidre? We already had Clea Mission Impossible stuff. As you can see, there are several J.J. Abrams-style mystery boxes within the writing of Andor. Hardly what I call a masterclass. In addition to the mystery boxes, there are several parts of the story that don't make sense or are poorly written. Luthen's plan for Eldani. He's the leader of the rebellion. He has politicians on his side. He's getting funding. There's this major operation to steal quarterly payroll for the Empire. This is one of the very few missions that are highlighted in the show. It's a major operation. It has to succeed. With the addition of Andor, they were only barely able to succeed.
What's the offer?
5 days. Big stakes, big danger. Prep team, good plan. You survive and deliver. I'll give you 200,000.
Good plan? The original team clearly was going to fail, and Andor was really only a last-second addition. It wasn't even a sure thing he'd convince Andor to join the heist. If you really break it down, Luthen was set to take a major L. What if Andor told him no? Would he have canceled? Doesn't seem likely. Everyone would have died. Then after the heist, what does Luthen really do? He's got Lonnie as a rat in the ISB. He's been with the ISB for years. What relevant intel has he provided Luthen, justifying Luthen's commitment to stay on Coruscant? There's the Death Star in episode 10 of season 2, but that's really plot convenience. We had to give him some fucking reason for him to be in the ISB. We had to give him something to do in 2 seasons worth of shows. There's the Dr. Gorse bullshit. Who cares about that? They'll replace him with some other psycho. It's not like it does anything. It's just part of Bix's pointless drug addict arc. All the missions and rebellion is happening on Yavin. Once Yavin is fully formed, what is Luthen doing other than gathering intel? He can't gather intel on Yavin? It just sounds like he's dressing in drag and jerking off for all of season 2. Kills off Mon Mothma's friend. Luthen sends Andor and Vel to Gorman to help the Gorman resistance, which played into the Empire's hands. He sent Andor back to Gorman to assassinate Dedra Meero, which doesn't happen. Why is Dedra so important? Because she's hyper-focused on finding access? Intel received by Lonnie? At this point, why does it matter if Dedra figures out who Axis is? Get off Coruscant. The rebellion has moved on. You're just waiting to get caught. Why is Will and Andor putting themselves in danger to take her out to save Luthen's sorry ass when he could just get off the planet? Other than her being hyper-focused on Axis, she's very replaceable in her position. It's not worth the trouble. But the reason why we have those 2 clowns on Gorman is because Tony Gilroy needed a reason to have Andor on Gorman during the Gorman massacre. That's why he's there. Masterclass of writing?
Not so much.
Dobby Luthen is praised by all the shills. They love him. After season 1, he just didn't do anything. There were more compelling scenes from him that took place off screen, like losing the whole rebellion and having it move off Coruscant, and everyone outcasting him, or the events before season 1, how he got into his position at the first episode of Andor. No development. Whoa, but after his death, the show gave us an episode of filler to provide an origin story for him. Too little, too late. And since we're on the topic of Luthen, let's talk about the death scene. Dedra wanted all the glory for herself, allows him to pull out a knife, turns her back, giving him time to stab himself. Meanwhile, she had a team waiting outside, and ultimately, she gets locked up. Season 2 requires smart characters that were built up in Season 1 to do incredibly stupid shit in Season 2. I was laughing while watching this. It was so incredibly stupid. And then Luthen being so focused on killing Andor in loose ends. After the heist, Andor needed to be eliminated just like Mon Mothma's banking friend. But what about Bix? She's not a loose end. Luthen didn't want to kill her. She got captured by the Empire, told them a lot, like a fucking rat, which ultimately helped lead to Dedra finding Luthen in Season 2. What about the guy in the ISB files mentioned earlier that described Luthen as an antique stealer, which literally led Dedra to Luthen? That guy isn't a loose end. I feel Luthen's killing of people is a plot device that's used for the story, and he's not really consistent with it. And I blame Tony Gilroy because he's the writer of the show. This one is ridiculous. Andor's hatred towards the Empire. Andor is about the start of the rebellion and the character Andor. The show managed to completely botch that. The show dedicates the first 3 episodes to a flashback of the Empire on Andor's home planet causing chaos. They take his sister, and it's a traumatizing experience for him. His whole life, he didn't like the Empire. The Empire killed Andor's stepdad. That was a crazy, significant event in his life. Andor at 16 was forced to fight for the Empire after being released from jail. He was an Imperial juvie. Keep this in mind. The Empire has already locked him up at this point in his life. Andor continues his life stealing things from the Empire, spitting in their food, as he tells Luthen.
The Empire had you fighting each other, which should make you hate them all the more, and you do.
He did not like the Empire and got how disgusting they were. He gets on Luthen's radar, and Luthen recruits him for the heist on Eldani.
I imagine your hate. I imagine that no matter what you tell me or tell yourself, you'll ultimately die fighting these bastards.
After the heist, wants nothing to do with Vel, Luthen, and the rebellion. He just wants his cut. He even tells his stepmom he doesn't want any part of the rebellion and runs away.
You can't beat them, Marva.
Not if I run away. Tell me you understand.
I don't.
Despite the backstory of the Empire ruining his life, the excessively long and boring 3-episode development of the Lost Sister arc, him being good at fucking the Empire, Andor is still not on board this rebellion. They wasted all that time with him. We needed to throw in a pointless prison arc to really convince Andor that the Empire is a problem and that he's got no choice but to fight. This arc is nothing but a waste of time. Andor hates the Empire. He's introduced to the leader of the rebellion. He goes on a mission, but the whole story stops in these 3 episodes so we can watch him break out of prison and truly realize he hates the Empire. This shit is filler. Andor hates the Empire going into prison. Andor still hates the Empire coming out of prison. As bad as the writing was, we already had sufficient motivation for Andor to join the rebellion. He was already basically in the rebellion. He already got his feet wet with the Eldani heist. We didn't need that extra push. We didn't need to connect the slave labor to the Death Star. For a show that supposedly had 5 seasons worth of ideas, this was an arc you could have cut. Andor didn't need any more motivation to join the rebellion. It was already set up after 6 episodes. They should have went from there. But Darth Melvin, Kino Loy is my favorite character. I even made a Twitter account, Employment for Kino Loy, and I talk shit to white-wing grifters. One way out. One way out. That's fine, you jerk off to the prison arc. You have a Kino Loy fetish. But the arc was pointless. If you want to argue it's not, well then Andor's entire backstory is pointless. Why develop his character, his hatred towards the Empire, only to reveal he's a coward, not a hero, and that he really doesn't hate the Empire enough? They executed his fucking stepdad. But no, we need him in the prison, shower time, dropping the soap for Kino Loy. We need to get him even more angry at the Empire. One more push. This arc exists as filler. You have 3 episodes of pointless flashbacks to his childhood, 3 pointless prison arc episodes, Add another 3 episodes wasted for the wedding arc in season 2. There was so much that happens off screen, yet we see every detail of this wedding. The planning, the gathering of people, the emotions of Mon Mothma's daughter, the ceremony followed by the reception. Imagine how much time could have been saved had a big chunk in the middle been cut out of this, and more important scenes could have been developed. You could have mystery boxed the wedding. Tony Gilroy spent so much time on this wedding arc, and we never see these kids again. Let's talk more about Syril Karn. This guy served his purpose in the first episodes, yet they kept him around. Had him eat cereal multiple times. I believe it was 3 times in season 1 and at least 1 time in season 2. We watched him build himself back up. This guy's supposed to be smart, yet he was such an idiot on Gorman. He had no idea what he was doing, and Tony Gilroy mystery boxed basically everything he did on there. Mainly the part where shit starts escalating. He starts wondering what's going on. The rebels figure out he's a fraud. Then they build up his rematch with Andor for the whole show, and they kill him off in comical fashion.
Who are you?
You didn't need to keep him past the first 3 episodes. Why not complete the arc and have him join the rebellion? Maybe bring back Tony Gilroy for a Syril Karn show. It could focus on him fighting in the rebellion and eating cereal. The fake fan Andor fans would love it. And on top of killing him off in comedic fashion, they mystery box the most important, dramatic parts of his arc, and it just makes the whole Syril Karn arc pointless. Cereal Boy and Dedra dating. This relationship is very poorly written. Syril Karn was obsessed. He saved her on Ferrix, and that creates sexual attraction. Okay, but it didn't happen on screen. Cyril's mother comes over, and Dedra stands up for him and tells the mom to shut the fuck up. Okay, so there's a relationship here. And Dedra seems like she cares about him. But then Syril is shipped off to Gorman, which is also based on a lie. So does she really love him? Seemed like it with the mom, but now shipping him off to Gorman. They reconnect shortly and have a wild sex scene in the dark. Is she just a weirdo? Or despises him and just going through the motions? We don't know. We don't know. It seems like it's different in every scene. Then in the Gorman massacre, she's claiming to Syril that we'll be rewarded back home and talking future tense about them being together. Is this manipulation or love? If she didn't care, why did she tell off the mother earlier in season 2? This relationship is just not developed. We really don't know how she feels about Syril Karn. So when he chokes her and ends the relationship, should the audience be feeling the emotional heartbreak? How can the audience feel anything if they don't have a grasp on how the relationship really was? Then the biggest mystery box of them all, Syril Karn is killed and we don't get any reaction from Dedra, not even one shot. It's just whatever. So was she upset about it? Was she indifferent? We don't know. Ask Tony Gilroy. Again with the Melvin, not everything needs to be explained. It's okay the relationship is ambiguous. No, it's not okay. Especially when the entire show is written to be ambiguous. That's not Masterclass writing. Tony Gilroy's not shy about excessive detail when it comes to other parts of the story. Obviously, he thought the relationship was somewhat important. He had a long dinner scene with Cyril's stupid mother. Peak Star Wars, bro. We could have at least had one shot of her reaction. Then we'd know if she cares or not. I am not in the business of assuming. In this entire show, we have to assume. We have to speculate. And that is done deliberately by a fraudulent Masterclass writer. When I watch a show written by a man everyone crowns a Masterclass writer, I expect Masterclass writing, not J.J. Abrams' mystery box writing. And you know what? As I said earlier, Cyril's arc should have ended in Season 1, Episode 3. Think about all the time wasted with him eating cereal, working at the Bureau of Standards, moving to Gorman, the underdeveloped relationship with Deidre. This is supposed to be Star Wars. We still could have had the Gorman Massacre if we just cut out Cyril Karn from the show. He wasn't necessary for that. We could have focused on other more important shit, like the Mystery Box Luthen scenes. What were those conversations like with Mon Mothma and Andor when they broke up with him? Quit crying, you fake fan. I'm not done ripping apart this terrible show. Episode 7, Season 1 is incredibly stupid. Mon Mothma goes to Luthen shop multiple times. Her driver is a known ISB rat. Why is she going there? The driver even catches them looking back at him. And then Mon Mothma is upset about Luthen and the Eldani heist. The rebellion needs money. What exactly did she think she was signing up for? I don't know. Because instead of getting that backstory, Mon Mothma and Luthen meeting each other, we got Andor's childhood backstory. The Kleya rescue is dumb. We're fresh off the comical Luthen-Deidre confrontation and Kleya's Mission Impossible style infiltration to the hospital. Which, how did she pull off? I don't know. I guess she's just a strong female character. At this point, after the Gorman Massacre and Mon Mothma leaving the Senate, the show is done. They blew their load with the Gorman Massacre. And they got nothing to cover for the last 3 episodes of this show, and it's obvious. Kleya does an emergency call because the ISB is on to her. And Andor shows up, and she's surprised.
It would be you, wouldn't it?
She's surprised that Andor shows up, and she's upset that Andor is there. Who was she expecting to show up and save her? What did Andor do to Luthen other than going to Yavin? He's always complied and did everything he asked. He's always been effective. Why is she so mad he went to Yavin? Everyone else did, but we don't know anything about that and what went down with it because it's all a mystery box. All of a sudden, one episode, Luthen is the leader. The next episode, he's a crazy extremist. And everyone is on a new rebel base.
We cannot stay here, Kleya.
And go where?
Then she's shocked the plan is to bring her to Yavin and disgusted.
Yavin. Oh, I know about Yavin. I know all about it. I know what they think of Luthen. That's to be my sanctuary.
We'll be safe there.
What did she expect? Some Luthen-friendly rebels that were anti-Yavin were going to come find her and bring her to safety that's not Yavin? The writing on this show is awful. It's fucking awful. It's not a masterclass. This show is extremely overrated, written by a guy who doesn't even like Star Wars. Then in the final episode of Season 2, the Death Star plans, the news of the super weapon, brought to you by Luthen and Kleya, and Andor is bringing the information to Yavin, and they're super dismissive.
All of this conveniently wrapped in a big energy program basket.
I'm just reporting what he was told.
It sounds like a paranoid fantasy.
Why are they so dismissive of Luthen? I get that they think he's an extremist, but when is he proven to be unreliable and a complete moron?
I'll have to disagree. It's everything I know about Luthen that makes me believe this is real.
We're talking about someone who's been a thorn in our side since we began building this alliance.
Did you know him?
Again, the mystery box comes into play because we don't know what went down, how it went from Luthen running everything to a bunch of strong women with Luthen derangement syndrome running everything. Perhaps had we cut 3 episodes of the wedding arc, Cyril's mom for dinner, we could have got more Yavin development. Literally retarded to not believe Andor. to not believe Luthen. They could talk to Clea as well and confirm the story. It's something to really look into and not bitch about and think it's some crazy conspiracy theory. And it's especially stupid how Andor was the one that rescued Mon Mothma from the Senate. And Luthen told her the night before that people that are with the fake Bail Organa, like, they're rats. And Luthen was completely right about that. And Mon Mothma's alive today because of Luthen, and yet she's standing there like a fucking coward, like a fucking emotional piece of shit. Oh, my banking friend. Denying that there's some sort of super weapon being created. Denying this information that originated from Luthen. It's just so idiotic to be that dismissive of it. And on top of that, you're not far removed from your stupid ass speech. And you're surprised the Empire would make a weapon this powerful? After what happened on Gorman, you don't think they are capable? Alright, changing gears from the terrible writing. Some people thought that The Acolyte was so bad, and it was so woke and everything. Did you watch Andor? It's made by Disney. There are plenty of woke elements in the show, and I'm just going to list anything that can be considered woke, progressive. Disney deserves no benefit of the doubt. Anything I'm about to list is deliberate to pushing their agenda. No matter how significant or insignificant it is to the story, this is what I could see. Clem and Marva, Andor's adopted parents, they're an interracial couple. White, black, and Andor's Hispanic. Talk about a diverse family here. All of Luthen's top guys are actually female. He's really leading a progressive rebellion, everyone. Mon Mothma's the main politician in the story. Vel and Cinta are lesbians. They had a lesbian sex scene.
Don't you look away from me.
I'm sorry. I'm so
She was a warrior. She was everything that you have daydreamed about.
Vel mansplains a man and completely emasculates him for getting Cinta killed.
She was a miracle. And you. To die like this because of you.
Peak Star Wars, bro. Lonnie and Hirt in the ISB. Hirt comes off as gay, and it's kind of hinted that there was more with this relationship. I know Lonnie was supposed to be married, but they could have been gay for each other. The Empire is after illegal immigrants checking paperwork, possibly exposing Bix and Brasso. Something straight out of the Trump 2024 campaign. Oh my god, illegal immigration!
Please. I'm begging you. But it's such a simple choice.
The sexual assault scene with Bix, completely pointless, waste of screen time, but Tony Gilroy really wanted it in there. Sexist males in the Empire.
No!
And then Bix kills the Imperial officer in hand-to-hand combat. Strong whammon right there. Bix's stupid boyfriend getting gunned down, police brutality. The communists that love the show hate Law and Order. They want the police defunded. Deidre Miro being the main ISB agent in the show. Strong female. Cyril Karn is a total cuck to her the entire time. He's also a cuck to his mother. Bix is watching a morning talk show on TV, and it features trans characters. Somehow they fit that in there. Then, I don't know if you noticed, but all the men die in this series. The women live. And Andor is finished off in Rogue One. Mon Mothma, Clea, Bell, Bix, Deidre, they all live. Andor, Luthen, Brasso, Cyril, all the guys on the Eldani heist, male ISB agents, dead. All dead. In addition, Diego Luna is crying to everyone about how he never saw people like him, Hispanics in Star Wars. It's the same bullshit John Boyega pulled. Everyone's a victim, everyone's racist. If you think the show is not woke, here you go. Here you go. Disney intentionally inserted all this in. I say it's pretty consistent with their other shows. Arguably even more woke than The Acolyte, which everyone hated.
Because it's all part of the plan.
Part of the plan to hate the woke stuff, the really bad projects, but any Disney content that, on the surface, isn't as bad as The Acolyte gets a pass from these people. Really, this show is on par with the wokeness of The Acolyte. Tony Gilroy is just as progressive as Leslie Headland. At least comparable. Filoni too. He's not above it. No one at Lucasfilm is above it. You have to be a raging leftist to work for this company. We've gone through all the mystery boxes, major problems with the show, wokeness, but there's a lot of little things I'd like to briefly mention. The mall cops are strangely confrontational with Andor to a comical level. Andor did a backwards headbutt, and that kills the mall cop. Just the whole interaction with these mall cops is very forced, and it starts off the show. Look at this cheap painting background here in the first few episodes of Andor. This reminds me of the garbage in the Kenobi scene training with Anakin. It's just unacceptable. I mean, what happened with the high budget? Bix invites Andor to a crowded place with her boyfriend there, conveniently sets up the next part of the plot where the boyfriend rats out Andor. This should be a private conversation. They're talking about some shit. They're talking about Luthen. And then her boyfriend is just there. It's like, doesn't she worry about the boyfriend seeing that she's talking to Andor? And I'm sure he knows that they used to date. Yeah, she's just a bitch. There's multiple serial scenes with Cyril Karn, which was ridiculous. Mon Mothma's daughter received more development than the creation of Yavin. The hyper-focus on the Eldani natives and their stupid meteor shower. Everyone's like, oh, the Eldani heist was awesome. I think they just remember the meteor shower and not the actual heist in like the 40 minutes that lead up to that. Will had no character development in season 1 and very little in season 2. I called him the retard kid. And in season 2, they just like started giving him love interests.
Retard kid gonna get laid. Retard kid gonna get laid. He got no character development in season 1 now. Retard kid gonna get motherfucking laid.
And then he works with Saul Guerrera for an episode.
Run! Let it run wild!
Peak Star Wars, bro. And we never get any more details on that. Coatgate? This guy can't put a coat over the projection, and that caused an uprise with people. Giant problem. Grasso headbutting a stormtrooper. Ridiculous. Like, this is masterclass writing, everyone. When Bix killed the Imperial officer, at first it takes all his strength to win a wrestling match. And then he gets fucked up with a hammer, and he's messed up. And he decides to continue his attack on her and gets killed. Like an idiot. I'm not sure if he's the clown or the writing team is. The rebels on the Jurassic Park world are retarded and a complete waste of time, and they can't act. Arguably the worst scenes in the entire show.
Rika says she can fly it, she can fly. She's not saying that. I don't hear you saying that.
It's confusing.
He's gotta teach her. Why would he do that? If he doesn't, we'll kill him.
This one is stupid. The young Imperial soldier Andor killed off screen in season 2, and Bix is having a big dilemma about it and questioning, how could you kill this Imperial soldier that just saw her face? Like, what's wrong with you?
I know you wanted him to live, but Cassian said he'd seen your faces, so... You tried. He knows that. Wasn't much of a soldier, was he? They'll never find his body.
Andor is supposed to be this extreme version of Han Solo who definitely shot first, And Bix is crying about it, taking a bunch of drugs, and through no character development at all, just cries about her life and takes drugs, on their mission to blow up the Dr. Gorst operation, kills an Imperial guard outside that sees their face. So I guess she's as ruthless as Andor now, and it just happens, and she doesn't do anything but take drugs to get to that point. The finger bang at the end of this episode. Bro, like, what the fuck is this? Peak Star Wars, bro. The Bail Organa recast, this was a joke. I made a video about this and so many people cried. There's no reason Jimmy Smits couldn't have made this show. People were talking about, oh, he's on Dexter Resurrection. He did one scene as a cameo in that show. A literal cameo. And they're saying scheduling difficulties, he couldn't make this show. The truth is, and people don't want to accept it, he just didn't want to do the show. Because either he thought that this role, where he only had a few lines here and there, was just not significant enough. Maybe Disney wasn't going to pay him enough. Or maybe he just doesn't want to be attached to any Disney Star Wars project anymore. Because he's seen what they do with it. Disney should have paid him more money. Because having a fake Bail Organa in this show is just embarrassing. Cyril Karn attacking Andor after he realizes the Empire is bad. Why does he do this? Does he want to bring Andor into the Empire? Or is he just an idiot? Probably got someone who's freaking out, who's been watching this video for over an hour. Darth Melvin, he saw Andor was trying to assassinate Deidre. That's why he attacked him. Really? In 2 seconds he could tell that's what Andor's doing exactly? Is that really the Masterclass explanation? Because if it is, it could have been executed a lot better than that. Cyril is faced with the decision to defend the woman he just choked out to save her life and attack Andor, the man he's been stalking. It would take more than 2 seconds to establish this. I just think he saw him and got triggered on impulse. He didn't think. It's ironic because the writer of the show lacks the ability to think. Does he think the Empire is going to reward him and he's just okay with the Gorman massacre? Wouldn't he stop and consider Andor has been right this whole time? Just a really stupid character that they used 2 seasons to develop. Speaking of idiots, the hotel clerk kills himself unnecessarily by taking out a few stormtroopers. Throws a grenade and just blows himself up. It's not like he was in immediate danger. He was hiding behind the desk. It's not like he really did much. Killed a few of them. He just must have hated himself and wanted to die. Some may argue, oh, it's cowardly to just hide behind the desk. Well, it's also idiotic to throw a grenade and get yourself killed. Now, in that situation, you're fucked. You're at the mercy of the Empire. You're better off not trying to be a threat to them. Did everyone die in the Gorman massacre? Or were you allowed to surrender and continue living as a refugee? Their intention was not to kill every single person, just steal the resources and make it look justified. Maybe they took them all prisoner. We don't really know. It's another one of those mystery boxes. Also, did the hotel clerk really die? It was a big explosion, but did it reach him? Mystery box. Hey, maybe we'll see him again in Rey's Jedi Order. No force sensitivity, no problem. All you need is one episode of Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope plagiarized training with Ahsoka. If they were going to go that route, they should have done something to make the sacrifice actually be more meaningful than just him committing suicide, because that's what it was. I guess he hated himself. He never got over the first Gorman massacre. He probably hates his dead-end job, was denied a manager position. If you ask me, this Gorman massacre, as horrible as it was, was probably a net positive for him. It gets him out of his stupid life and miserable existence on Gorman. He can start fresh on another planet, maybe start a YouTube channel to rip on Disney Star Wars and absolute clowns that are labeling Tony Gilroy as a masterclass writer. Andor is about to be shot by Cyril Karn, and he just casually asks him, "Who are you? Who are you, man? He's going to kill you. What does it matter who he is? He's going to shoot you in the face." Then he's magically saved by the old guy. This was just another failed attempt at comedy and the end of a completely pointless character. The whole Bix and Andor relationship, there's nothing wrong with Andor retiring. He's done a lot for the rebellion. Check that. He's done a lot for the fake rebellion. He spit in the food of the Empire, the Eldani heist, rescued Mon Mothma, murdered Dr. Gorst, a whole bunch of mystery box missions that were off screen, escaped and helped free all these prisoners from the Empire in a pointless prison arc, provided needed filler for Tony Gilroy to include the Gorman massacre in a show called Andor, was going to lose a death match to Serial Boy. She's a radical psycho leftist that wants to win but not do her part. She just wants Andor to stick around and likely die. The chances of them beating the Empire is basically non-existent. Like, I know it works out for them, but to act like one guy, Andor is the key to everything, sometimes you gotta quit while you're ahead. This is just a stupid fucking reason to break them apart. You should have just killed her. Killed her off. She was a pointless character anyways. How did she know Luthen? Mystery box. What was her relationship with Andor before the show? Mystery box. How did she really help Luthen after season 1? Mystery box. The finger bang should have been a mystery box. We didn't need to see that shit. But Tony Gilroy can't kill female characters. Unless they're a lesbian.
Let's go, lesbians.
Bix is just a stupid character. And they retcon Andor having a baby to make people feel all emotional about it. And watch, this stupid kid is gonna be a Jedi in Rey's Jedi Order. So for anyone that likes this show, yes, Rey Skywalker, Rey's Jedi Order, her story is continuing in Disney Star Wars continuity. So when you jerk off this show, you're just jerking off Disney Star Wars. When you don't want Disney Star Wars to fail because shows like this that you like are popping up at once in every 5 years, it doesn't matter. You are supporting Rey and Disney Star Wars. All the shills were out on Twitter telling everyone it's a masterclass. But if you truly analyze the Nielsen ratings, you know Andor didn't do that well. Considering they released 3 episodes a night, one of the primary reasons is the lack of cameos. There were multiple Palpatine shoutouts in this show. When people talk about Rogue One, it's the hallway scene, the choking scene, Darth Vader. Cobra Kai is one of the only shows to do this right. Bring back old characters while introducing the new characters. Now, if they do a show with new characters in the Cobra Kai universe, I'd be interested in watching. Tony Gilroy and Andor had no interest in bringing the legacy characters in this show. It was all original Disney characters. And there was certainly enough time for Vader and Emperor Palpatine. For a show about the Empire, there was a severe lack of space scenes on Star Destroyers. We could have got more shots like we did in the original trilogy, more settings on these ships, officers talking to each other. Instead, a lot of it just took place in one ISB room. And we had Deidre and a bunch of faces that we don't know. And this is supposed to be the Empire. It's not as convincing. No one's saying Palpatine had to have a huge role in the show, but it's just not as convincing when you don't bridge one part of the story with the other. Mon Mothma's speech, this is a clear indication that Tony Gilroy has no intention of connecting Andor with Disney Star Wars. Her speech was already done in Rebels, yet she had the wrong clothing and different dialogue.
Sure, the words are different, and no, she's not wearing her blue robes, but those are just minor details in the larger story. It's enough for me to just pretend the crew of the Ghost are seeing a bit of the same speech she gave in Andor. Rebels was a 22-minute show. It needed to get a specific point across quickly. But if the differences really bug you, we could make up headcanon that the version we're seeing in Rebels is doctored.
Bail Organa is in the wrong location. And Star Wars Sexplained, Disney's top Disney shill, tried to sexplain his way out of the mess, lying to his subscribers, and downplayed the inconsistencies. That's why he's so effective. He explains, and if it's not a big deal to him, it won't be to his brain-dead subscribers.
What does seem like a bit of a change is the fact that we see Bail Organa and General Dodonna watching the speech on what I would assume is meant to be Yavin, even though Bail just said in Andor he was going to stay on Coruscant. Oh well, we can just pretend that's some other secret base he ran off to hang out with Jan. We did get a mention of the General without actually seeing him on Yavin, so who knows where they are. It's not a big deal.
This continued with the K2SO origin. Tony Gilroy knew about the comic that already explained this origin, but chose to ignore it. Pablo Hidalgo didn't override him. Dave Filoni didn't override him because they don't care. The last episode is basically filler that has to line up with the events of the beginning of Rogue One. It's very anticlimactic. There's really 3 parts to this season. The pointless Andor arc on the Jurassic Park world and wedding story, the first 3 episodes, the Gorman episodes, and the 3 pointless final episodes that they had to scramble together to stretch out the season to 12 episodes. Each season really could have been 8 episodes. Or you could have easily swapped out 4 episodes worth of straight trash, and you could have added in some of these suggestions that I'm making in this video that would explain these mystery boxes. Now, does this fix the show? No. Not at all. It's Disney Star Wars, and the show Andor was pointless from the beginning. But as for working with the terrible material given, and with all the Tony Gilroy sycophants crowning him a masterclass writer, I felt compelled to call his ass out and rip apart his communist garbage. That isn't real Star Wars. It's not even fake Star Wars. It's fake Star Wars. Star Wars Andor was pointless. It wasn't a masterclass in writing. It was shit.
Masterclass? Not so much.
It's just a bunch of J.J. Abrams mystery boxes. The show is terrible, and way too many people are dick riding this show and Tony Gilroy. Some may argue, Darth Melvin, there's supposed to be 5 seasons. I don't want to hear it. Had it been 5 seasons, I think it would have been more of the same writing style. Many pointless scenes to take up screen time, while important parts of the story are neglected. The Nielsen ratings were heavily manipulated, 3 long episodes a night, Disney telling everyone they have a hit, but really it's expensive, overrated, pointless garbage. People claim to love the show, say it's the best Disney Star Wars ever. They want to do a rewatch. But are you really going to do a 3rd rewatch at some time? At some point in your life? Not likely. The first watch you see, oh, it's more complex than your typical fake Star Wars show. But after a 2nd time, you'll see the flaws. You'll see how mundane it is. It's not something you want to turn on if you want some excitement. If you made it through all the way, congrats. I hope I entertained. I hope I reached some people. And if not, I hope you're triggered. I hope you leave a comment crying to your mommy about me. Darth Melvin just ripped apart my favorite show. And I'm going to continue to rip apart everything Disney makes because it's all shit. And if you still don't buy into what I'm saying, hear this. Tony Gilroy is done with Disney Star Wars. He's never coming back. You'll never get this style of show again in Disney Star Wars. Nothing has changed with Lucasfilm. You're going to continue to get the same Dave Filoni, Kathleen Kennedy garbage until you decide that you don't care anymore. But if you don't want to be miserable, you want to denounce Disney Star Wars and celebrate real Star Wars, make sure to become a Knight, subscribe to the channel, join the Knights of Melvin Discord, help plot to take down Disney and all their shills.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the shills. At last we will have revenge.
Damn well sure we'll avenge it.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.